Welcome back, Cloud Builders. We are officially halfway through the AWS Builder Challenge on day 11. Yesterday we mastered Amazon S3, but today we are tackling the storage you interact with every single day without even realizing it. We are talking about the hard drives powering your virtual machines, how to share files across a fleet of servers, and my personal favorite, literal 45-foot trucks filled with hard drives. I know if you are a beginner, storage terminology can feel like alphabet soup. EBS, EFS, FSX, IOPS. It's a lot. But don't stress, today I'm going to explain exactly how this stuff works in the real world because this domain makes up to 34% of your cloud practitioner exam. So let's get into it. Here is our game plan for today. First, we are going to decode EBS volume types. You will learn exactly which virtual hard drive to pick based on what you are trying to build. Then we will solve a really common cloud problem, sharing files across multiple servers at the exact same time. We will look at EFS and FSX, and I will give you the exact trigger words you need to spot on the exam. Finally, we are talking about offline data migration with the AWS Snow family. Because believe it or not, sometimes the absolute fastest way to get your data into the cloud isn't through an internet connection. It's by mailing a rugged suitcase to an AWS data center. Yeah, you heard it right. Alright, let's start with EBS or Elastic Block Store. When you spin up a virtual computer in AWS, that is an EC2 instance, it needs a hard drive to install the operating system. That hard drive is an EBS volume. But AWS doesn't just give you an one size fits all hard drive. Look at this chart. They give you four main categories split between fast SSDs, that is solid state drives on the top, and the traditional spinning hard drives, hard disk drive on the bottom. Before we even look at the specific types, write this golden rule down for the exam. You cannot use a cheap spinning SSD as a boot volume. If you want to install Windows or Linux, you have to use an SSD. SSDs, that is hard disk drives, are strictly for holding massive amount of data, not running operating systems. Now let's break down exactly which drive you should choose in the real world. If you are just spinning up a standard web server for a blog or you just need a normal boot drive, you are going to use GP3, General Purpose SSD. It's the default one. Think of it as your daily driver car. Reliable, cost effective, and it gives you a solid baseline of speed right out of the box. But what if you are a massive bank processing thousands of credit card swipes every single second? That GP3 drive isn't going to cut it. You need the absolute fastest drive AWS offers, that is IO2 Block Express. This is your Formula 1 race car, built specifically for mission critical databases where even a millisecond of lag cost money. It is incredibly fast and accordingly the most expensive as well. Now what if you don't need a blistering speed but you have a mountain of data? Let's say you are processing 500 TBs, that is terabytes of daily website logs. That's where you switch to a spinning disk, that is ST1 throughput SSDs. It's your heavy duty freight train. It's perfect for sequential big data workloads like Kafka, and it's way cheaper than an SSD. And finally, if you have an old employee records or compliance data that you only look at maybe once a year during an audit, and you just want the cheapest solution possible, cheapest storage solution possible, that's SC1, also called cold STD. So it's basically a digital storage locker. So EBS is great, but it has a major limitation. It's a one-to-one relationship. You generally can't plug a single EBS hard drive into 10 different web servers at once. If you have a fleet of Linux servers that all need to read and write to the same exact folder at the same time, maybe they all are serving the same user's profile, then you want to use EFS, that is Elastic File System. It's natively built for Linux, and the coolest part is that you don't even have to provision a size. It just automatically grows and shrinks as you add or delete files. But here's a catch. EFS, that is Elastic File System, doesn't work for Windows. Now let's say if your corporate office is moving to the cloud and they want to keep their classic shared S drive where all the employees save their Word documents using Active Directory. You can't use EFS. That is, you can't use Elastic File System. you have to use FSX for Windows file server. If you see keywords on the exam like SMB protocol, NTFS or Active Directory, your answer is FSX for Windows. AWS has also another flavor called FSX for Lustre, and this Lustre literally comes from the words Linux and cluster. It is built strictly for high performance supercomputing. If a university is running insane weather simulations or feeding petabytes of data into a hungry AI machine learning model, they use FSX for Lustre. And another we have Amazon FSX for NetApp ONTAP. This enables you to lift and shift your on-premises NetApp environments directly into a fully managed AWS services. That is actually like allows you to move your enterprise storage to the cloud without any application refactoring, code changes or altering how you manage your data. Okay, moving on to my favorite topic, the Snow family. Imagine you are a hospital with 100 TBs of old patient X-ray data and you want to move them into AWS. If you try to upload that over your standard corporate internet connection, it could literally take 92 days or 3 months. You can't wait that long. So AWS created SneakerNet. They will literally mail you a physical hard drive and you plug it into your local network, copy your files and hand it back to the shipping company. And for small jobs or extreme environments like a research drone out in a desert with zero internet, they have the Snow Cone. It holds about 8 to 14 terabytes and it is so small that it can fit in a backpack. For medium standard jobs, you order a Snowball Edge. It looks like a heavy duty piece of a military luggage and holds anywhere from 80 to 210 terabytes. And finally, what if you are shutting down an entire enterprise data center with exabytes of data? AWS will literally drive a 45-foot 18-wheeler truck to your office. That is called Snowmobile. Now let's look at how the exam is actually going to test you on this. They love to test your ability to pick the right device based on capacity. Look at exam pattern number 1 on the screen. If they ask you how to move a 500 terabyte dataset over a slow internet connection, you can't use a snow cone, it's too small. And 500 TB isn't nearly big enough to justify a massive snowmobile truck. So the answer is to order multiple Snowball Edge devices. Also pay attention to the word edge for the exam. It means it actually has a compute power built in. You can run EC2 instances directly on this suitcase while it sits on your desk. For exam pattern number 2, if you see the words entire data center migration or exabyte scale, stop reading and immediately choose Snowmobile. Also remember the capacity lead ladder. This is Snow Cone, Snowball Edge and we have Snowmobile. How much capacity do they actually are related with? So now it's time to put everything into practice. Today's lab is going to teach you a really important physical rule about how the cloud works. Availability zones aren't just virtual concepts. They are physical buildings miles apart. If your EC2 instance is running in a building A, its EBS hard drive is physically bolted in a server rack inside that specific building. You can't just magically drag and drop that hard drive over to a server in a building B. So how do we move our data to a different availability zones? We use snapshots. What is snapshots? A snapshot is basically a backup photograph of your hard drive. So let's do it together right now. I will go to my AWS console and simply search for EC2. Now I will create one instance for me. What I will do is click on launch instances and let me name it something like my SBG server, and let me keep it default like Amazon Linux machine. AMI will be same, and I will select T3 micro for the instance type. Let me generate a key pair as well. So let me keep this name as SBG key pair. I will create a key pair and yeah, it is downloaded. And let this network security setting be same, or I can do this allow HTTPS, allow HTTP traffic from the internet, keep them checked, and store 8 GB storage and GP3. Alright, you can configure this volume as well, and okay, let that other all setting be same. So now my instance is being created, and once your instance is created, you can simply check whether this instance is in running state or not. You can say it may be saying pending state for you because it takes time to start this machine, to launch this machine. So what I will do is go on the left menu, click on volumes and find the hard drive. You can simply refresh and you can find this hard drive attached to your instance. Look at the availability zone column. Mine says AP South 1B. To back this up, select the volume, click on the Actions button and hit create snapshot. Now you can see, you can give a quick description about it. Let me say SBG snapshot. And when you click on create, AWS takes a perfect block level copy of your data and safely stores it over in S3. You can see the notification successfully created snapshot, and you can manage fast snapshot restore from over here. So now for the magic trick, click on snapshots in the left menu. Once your snapshot says completed, select it and click on actions, and you can create volume from snapshot. Now you are basically telling AWS to 3D print a brand new hard drive based on your backup photograph. But look at the availability zone drop down. You can change it. If your original was in A1, you can change a new one to 1B. As it was in 1B, I guess, so I will keep that in 1A for now. Now simply hit create volume, and just like that you have successfully migrated your block storage across physical data centers. So now let me go to the volumes tab back, and you can see I have 2 volumes created over here now. Now you can attach your new volume that is created in another availability zone to your EC2 instance as well. So now just remember to clean this up because we don't want to let my AWS bill grow up. Now you can simply select the volume which you don't want. I don't want any of the volume for now. Done. And for another volume also I will click on actions. You can delete. First you need to detach volume. If it is attached to any of the EC2 instance, simply what I will do, go to the instances, I will simply delete that instance. Once your instance is stopped, you can simply delete the instance. Again go to instance state and terminate instance, that is deleting your instance. Now if I go to the volumes tab, you can see the volume that was attached to my EC2 instance is automatically deleted. So always remember to stop your billing meter when you finish a lab, that is deleting your instances, deleting your created resources. So always remember to stop your billing meter when you finish a lab, that is deleting your instances, deleting your created resources. And that's a wrap on the content for day 11. Let's do a really quick rapid fire recap using this cheat sheet on the screen. So let's say default boot drive for the normal server. What do you use? GP3. Crazy fast database performance, that is IO2, EBS IO2. Big data and sequential logs, ST1, that is HDD. Sharing Linux file across multiple servers, EFS. And sharing Windows file with Active Directory, that is FSX for Windows. And if the internet is way too slow, you order a Snowball or a Snowmobile. Don't forget this. So your homework for today is to jump into the practice portal and knock down 10 questions. When you read a question, just ask yourself, is this workload random or sequential? Are they running Windows or Linux? Those 2 questions will almost always reveal the right answer. Tomorrow on day 12, we are tackling the biggest one, that is VPC networking. This is the absolute heart of AWS infrastructure, and it's the heaviest weighted topic on the exam. So do not miss it. And yes, keep building. I will see you in day 12.